Yesterday evening, I spent a few minutes spraying a great deal of chemicals all over certain sections of my house, like the baseboards and doorways and stuff like that, because previous to that, I was just sitting there trying to enjoy the latest episode of We Own This City, and that's right, I heard a cockroach crawling around. It was so big I could hear it crawling as it dragged its wretched body across the floor. And so I got up and I sprayed it with Raid and it died. And I feel like every time I do that, I am killing myself a little bit because those chemicals have to be so noxious that, there has to be something a little bit cancerous and carcinogenic about them. But it's a trade-off I'm willing to do. Obviously, I'd prefer if there were no cockroaches in my house at all, but I think it was just so rainy the last couple of days that it drove a cockroach into my house. It was just so big. And I just am thankful that I hadn't seen any cockroaches in my house for like a year previous to that. It's like a record for me. Now, some of you may be saying, Peter, we just saw your house tour. It's no surprise to us that there are cockroaches in your house, but I would like to point out that if you look more closely at my house tour, there are not a lot of things in my house that attract cockroaches, I don't think. Like, I think they're attracted to like refuse, like moisture, decaying things. My house may be, and I will admit, is cluttered, but I don't leave out like food. I don't leave out like old takeout boxes. And I mean, I don't even prepare food in my house except from the microwave, right? And I don't leave out dirty dishes. I don't eat in my bed. I feel like my house is cluttered, but it's not dirty, all right? Because I am too paranoid about things like cockroaches and ants. But more importantly, I want to do some mental window shopping with you, partly because of this recent incursion right into my space, but partly because everyone has been talking about houses lately. Everyone's been saying how crazy the housing market is, and it's just made me more scared than ever to try to buy a house. It's just like such a big purchase, and I've always been scared to spend large amounts of money because my job has such a inconsistent and unpredictable income, right? But I can still dream, right? What would I want? I think there are two main qualifications that I consider when it comes to a house. Privacy and insulation, okay? And I'll explain both of these. First of all, I think there are people who will agree with me on some of these, but also some people who won't. Because sometimes I'm hanging out with my friends and they see houses, and a very big factor for a lot of people seems to be how the house looks. And this does not matter to me at all. How it looks from the outside, even from the inside. But for example, when they say, what about this house? What about that house? Because one of my friends is buying a house right now, and they'll say, oh, wow, that house is so cute. That one looks great. This, that. And when they say a house looks cute, I just don't know what to think. I can't figure out how that matters, right? I don't want a cute house. I don't care how it looks from the outside. I want to be inside it. The only reason the outward appearance would matter is sometimes you see pictures of like a really weird looking house in a neighborhood of otherwise normal looking houses. And I don't want to be that one house that sticks out in the neighborhood. Okay. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, that guy that lives in the weird house. But you'll see from my explanations that I probably do want a weird looking house. Pretty much, I think I would be happy with a house that is pretty much just a big nondescript cube, right? And I mean, I think there are not archaeological, but architectural schools that trend toward designs like this. But I dropped out of interior architecture and architecture in general for a reason, because like I've heard so many people describe even like looking at rooms and designs and like, oh, this is perfect. I want this couch. I want my room to look like this. I want more of this or more of that. And I just sit in rooms and I tried to figure it out. Like I went to classes, I went to school, I followed so many Instagram pages, right? So many different types of designs, and I just can't figure out why it matters. Maybe different things matter to me. I want to sit comfortably. I want to feel cozy. And by that, I mean temperature wise. And I don't know, not too bright, I guess. But I don't know. I don't really care what color the walls are or what shape the lamps are. I know there are some subconscious factors that weigh in. I don't know. I feel like a lot of this is marketing, because trends come and go. People like things 30 years ago that they don't like today. So what's the big deal? And then they'll like them again in 30 years. So does it really have that big of an impact besides trends and marketing? Who knows? Anyways, all right. So what I want is privacy. First of all, if I walk around in neighborhoods like a couple blocks away from me are big, crazy, fancy houses, right? $500,000, $1 million each. And they are each like a gem. They're each like unique, special. I bet the people buying them are like, wow, I got a nice house. It's its own thing. But a huge drawback that I cannot justify for each one of these houses is that you can look out a window on the side of the house and look straight into a window of a house next to it. Like these windows are like 10 feet apart from each other. I don't get that. Having a window where someone is looking into your house, or a window where you're looking into someone else's house, it would be better, even, not ideal, but to look at the wall of someone else's houses. But so many of these windows are perfectly lined up. Also, there's these front yards. I don't understand a front yard where pretty much the only thing so many people do with their front yards is maintain it. That's the only thing that happens in 90% of these yards. A couple of them have kids where they kick a soccer ball around or something. But 90% of what happens in most of these is mowing and blowing. And what's the point? I don't understand. I don't want that, okay? So I want to be able to look out of my windows, and I don't want other people to be able to look in my windows. So I don't know, does this require do they have like two-way mirror glass that even during nighttime, I can have a light on inside and someone walking by on the street still can't see my lit up interior? Because you know how that is if you've walked by houses and you can see people like sitting in front of their TVs or at their tables. And if they look out, they can only see their reflection on the window of them sitting next to their window. You know what I'm talking about? It's like whichever side is the brightest, they can't see what's on the other side of the window because they just see the reflection, unless you go up to the window and cup your hands around your face to block out the reflections. So I need other people not to be able to see into my house. And it's like one of those things, like, if you're not doing anything wrong, why do you care if people can see you? It just doesn't matter. If I'm in my house, I just want to not be seen. And the same thing goes for my yard. I don't care to have a front yard that's public and open to the road. I'd be just as happy to have the front of my house pushed all the way up to the road, or else to have it walled off either with a wall or hedges. And then the backyard is the same. Like right now I have a backyard and I don't really feel like doing anything in it, because if I'm up on my deck, people can see me over the fence, and there's like a weird hill or a slant to the backyard where people can see whatever I'm doing in the backyard over the fence, and I just don't feel comfortable there. I don't know why. Maybe it's weird, maybe it's not. The point is, if the fence were like a little bit taller, it might be good, but also I know if fences get too tall, then there's like sunlight issues and things get weird. I don't know exactly what the answer is. Maybe the answer is go out and live in the middle of nowhere, but then you feel bad about living in the middle of nowhere because it takes forever to get anywhere. I don't know what the answer is exactly. I'm just saying. Okay. Secondly, insulation, I said. And insulation is an issue for a couple of reasons. First of all, insulation is nice because temperature-wise, you don't have to spend as much on air conditioning, cooling, heating, but also insulation from bugs. When it comes to, I've watched, there's a concept called air gapping, I think, and this happens with like really secure like computer servers and stuff that people don't want hacked, right? It'd be nice if my whole house could be air gapped, but I'm not worried about getting hacked. It's from bugs. But I know bugs can fly, but if somehow my whole house could like float on magnets, like like a maglev train doesn't touch the rails. Surely this is possible to do this with a house, right? It'd be even easier because the house doesn't have to move. Somehow have my house floating on magnets, and that way it would be impossible for cockroaches to crawl up to my house, impossible for ants to get to my house. What about all the power lines that attach to the house? Surely it'd be, could these things be like transferred across small gaps of air? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud here. Or maybe the house could be up on small pillars, and there could be like sticky barriers on the pillars that bugs would get stuck on. That's kind of gross, but I'm just thinking. Or maybe water. There could be it could be in a moat that could stop bugs, but it'd have to be moving water because otherwise stagnant water would just, like mosquitoes would grow there. Or maybe I should just find the perfect location. Like there's some places where hardly any bugs live. At first I was thinking like just way up north where it's cold and bugs can't survive. But I mean, if you learn about like the tundra and the taiga and stuff, sometimes there's like months where the air is thick with clouds of mosquitoes. So I don't know if you can ever escape bugs completely. Maybe I should have like an airlock. I don't know if these are real things, but you see in movies of people going into research labs, they go into an airlock and it's like sprayed with chemicals or something that destroys all the germs and bugs on them, and they walk in again. I think I might be willing to do that. I would just be so at peace in a house where I could just somehow know 100% that there's no insects in there. That's all I want, okay? Tell me how to do it. Is it possible or is it not possible? All right, goodbye.